When I first moved here, I was busy with my kids. Everything was new and I had to adapt to this country. So I didn't meet very many Peranakans. Worse still, I can't even identify them because nobody ever dressed in a kebaya.
When someone asks me what cultural background I'm from and I tell them Peranakan, it's usually what is that?
But often they are more familiar with, oh, you mean Nyonya? Okay, Nyonya food.
I have a primary 1 classmate. She's Indian. She migrated to California. So one day I spoke to her and I said, hey, Christy, do you wear your sari and all that? She said, oh, Maji, I wear my sari every Sunday to church, rain or shine. She said, don't give up on your culture. So I thought about it. I said, yeah, that's right. So when the weather is nice, I wear my kebaya like normal and I go to church. Alamak, this is my bedroom, so messy lah.
Why are we here, Margaret? What are you going to show us?
Oh,
What's that?
I've got sarongs to show you. I collect sarongs.
How many sarongs is that?
I don't know, can't count. Maybe 100, I don't know. Like the kids, they will say millions. This is from the area called Pekalongan in Indonesia. Because of the tribal. My mom is a Peranakan. Dad was an Indonesian Hakka. And mommy's mother is a Nyonya from Malacca. So we spoke Baba Malay to her.
We are in my house in Rowville, and this is a retirement home, which I've been here for more than 17 years or 18 years, I think. I've got a lot of my artifacts which I brought from Malaysia, even like this cabinet, which is designed by my dad during his wedding, actually. I was born in Malacca and raised in Malacca too, all my life. My mom dressed the kabaya, She puts on the sarong every day.
My daughter will wear her kebaya for my parents' occasions in Singapore. So will my sons. They will wear the batik shirt. But over here, it's peer pressure, so they won't.
He has to take a back seat because I think we must also learn about the new culture.
Yeah,
the
Australian culture.
So we got to adopt the new culture because we are in a new place. Yes.
In Australia, you don't even know when it's Chinese New Year. So I remind the kids, hey, today is Chinese New Year. You have to go and soja your parents.
But I think even in Malacca itself, the younger generation, if the parents don't tell them more and if they're not interested,
yes.
So it will just die off.
My children, my grandchildren will be called Peranakan possums because they'll be born in Australia.
So there's only 2 of us that he knows here, Margaret and myself.
So we met up near the Immigration Museum in a cafe, and I said, oh my goodness, for the first time I met a Peranakan. I was so excited. And we said, Allah, lama tak jumpa. We haven't spoken our patois. It means long time never met. So it was very exciting because then we got to know that, there's another Peranakan.
I never knew that there are quite so many Peranakans now in Melbourne.
We are strangers and yet a home away from home.
When somebody organize a Malaysia Day or a Singapore Day or ASEAN Day or whatever it is,
they will invite us to
the Federation Square to have a sing song, and also sometimes
and Victoria Market.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe people know us through food, first of all, through Malaysian restaurants and things like that. But now we want to show them our language as well.
Once I left Singapore, Peranakan was no longer in my psyche at all until we formed the association here. And you even forget that you forgot it. You don't realize it. You just immerse yourself in a Western society. I'm involved in promoting the culture and promoting the traditions and pass it on to the next generation because they got to carry it on in our absence.
I moved here to Melbourne when I was 18. I think missing food from home, and because also I couldn't find it anywhere, I was like, okay, I guess I had to learn how to make it myself. And then I fell in love with it and it became a profession. So I'm making a prawn stock for the laksa.
Do you find it difficult to get the ingredients you need here?
Not anymore. I think when I first moved here in 2004, I actually couldn't find laksa leaves. And I thought they didn't sell them here. And then I went to Footscray Market for the first time and realized that they had them, but they called them Vietnamese mint here instead of laksa leaves. So I was like, oh wow, revelation. As a child, like, my family didn't really talk much about being Nyonya or Peranakan. Like, I sort of knew that our food was a bit different from my friends' food. The thing about authenticity is that it's so tied up with nostalgia, and sometimes you just need to adapt, which is, I mean, pretty much what Peranakan food is about, right? I mean, I'm sure that your first Chinese migrants that came to the Malaysian peninsula were like, oh, you know, we miss this particular kind of noodle, but then we don't have this particular ingredients, and that's how we end up with a lot of dishes we have today. Growing up, I wasn't really interested in cooking Peranakan food because I had such easy access to it all the time. It was like, you know, obviously I come home and I eat it every night. So I took a lot of that for granted. Rather than have to use no harm, sorry. Like, you know, you don't speak Malay and so therefore, you know, you're not Peranakan enough, or you didn't tombok, you know, sambal in your, you know, mother's kitchen when you were a kid.
Some people believe that, if you are born of interracial marriage, you know, and so if you are like 132 Peranakan or like 116 Peranakan, are you still considered Peranakan, or like, are you Peranakan enough?
Well, I think that also creates barriers for people who want to explore more about their own background and their own culture, which is a bit sad, especially for young people.
Yes, exactly like this, but
Now we're going to make kueh dadar today. Here is very hard to get fresh coconut, so I usually buy the frozen one.
I'm wondering, do you think it works well with the desiccated coconut?
I find it's too dry.
My grandma is a Nyonya. I didn't really have much of an idea of my own heritage and my identity. It was after moving to Australia that I became like an ethnic minority overnight that I began to question, who am I? What are my roots? It was only then that I began to have a greater interest.
I feel that being away has actually helped me embrace it a little bit more and explore a broader and a wider range of what it means to be Peranakan than if I was still in Singapore. So this week is Refugee Week in Australia, and basically what the community centre does is that it invites refugees to come in and we give them a free lunch and invite entertainment. I've done a couple of Peranakan bits and classes, and it's quite fun because a lot of people haven't learned about it before, so part of it is also a history lesson. Recently I did a class making popiah and paiti, so I did all the popiah skins from scratch, the paiti shells. For me it's more wanting to educate, firstly educate myself, but also to educate people around me about Peranakan culture is and what Nyonya culture is. The more you know the diversity of people around you, the more knowledge you have a better view of the world. But people bring more than food. They bring language, they bring cultural, religious traditions, they bring all sorts of other things as part of their identity. And I feel that while food is a great way to start conversation, the conversation shouldn't end there.
Remember, the aim of the game is to collect as many marbles in your home. So that's my home and that's your home. Yeah, pick up another one from anywhere you want. Yep. This is a Malay game that Peranakan kids used to play. Growing up, I would play this with my cousins. And it used to be a bit of a race, got really competitive with one another. I was born in Malacca. I came when I was 14. But at that time, I was actually looking forward to living a new life. The Peranakan thing wasn't really in the forefront of my mind. It was more about a whole new lifestyle and settling here in Australia and becoming Australians. It's hard to be Peranakan without having someone else to be Peranakan with. I can't believe I'm already dead. I'm already dead. You keep on going. In regards to Toby, it's really interesting because when he was really young, he didn't even know that he was Asian. And we had to keep on telling him that he's half Asian and half Australian. I started thinking about what I wanted to pass to him. We were going to be happy with only 5 or 6 people, but we ended up having about 15 people. And then the second one, we had about 30 people. I love the fact that we have got this community and I've got these relationships with all these people, and we want to listen to people who have been born here and don't know how to speak the language, and how do they identify with Peranakan.
I didn't know there were so many Peranakans. It's been really nice to reconnect with people from Peranakan culture.
The Peranakan wedding traditionally took 12 days to do all the different rituals, but we decided to condense it.
It's been so interesting to learn all the different things that you do.
Look at all these 3 attendants here, yeah? They play a very important role in the wedding ceremony.
I've been living with my grandfather for a couple of years now, caring for him, and because he goes to PAA every week, I go with him. So it's just a wonderful opportunity to see now the steps we're taking to face more of the public eye and cement ourselves as part of Melbourne's migrant culture. I do hope in future we can find ways to make Peranakan culture and all culture more inclusive and forward-thinking.
I believe that there is this spirit of Peranakan that underlies everything that in the way that we live and how we identify as Peranakan.
I feel that the spirit of Nyonya, the spirit of Peranakan culture, is adaptability and also borrowing and celebrating other people's cultures as well.
How can we carry that spirit now and celebrate that spirit in the way that we live, in the way that we include other people? So lucky.
We don't have to be blood Peranakan. We don't have to have had a Peranakan upbringing. If we identify with it, if we connect with the culture, we want to connect with all these people because then it becomes rich.
I asked a friend of mine, what is assimilation and integration? He said assimilation means you lose your culture totally and you become like something else. He said nowadays we don't do that, we integrate.